Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers represents Washington's 5th congressional district. She's also the Republican leader of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. That is a powerful committee. And that committee earlier this year unveiled the Boosting Broadband Connectivity agenda, help to close the digital divide. Congresswoman, it's great to be with you. And I just want to start out because I love your tweets. And this is just a hilarious tweet. And he says, I made the first 5G mid-band spectrum call ever in Airway Heights. That's near Spokane, folks. And I called my husband, and what happened?
I got voicemail, but bottom line, it worked, and it was super exciting. Brendan Carr, who's FCC commissioner, was in Eastern Washington. We had the opportunity to climb up on a tower, make the connection, and have 5G, and I was able to place the first 5G mid-band spectrum call for Eastern Washington. And certainly there's huge needs in Eastern Washington and all over the country, and it's always great to see the investment in this important infrastructure.
Well, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm very overt and open about the fact that I'm a communications nerd and a communications technology nerd, and I get very excited about 5G and kind of what's coming. So one of the big challenges, and we've seen it during the pandemic, as everything really has literally gone digital, is we have some parts of the country that are covered to this and some parts of the country don't. Airway Heights has 5G, and a lot of the other country, the rest of the country is waiting for it. But I guess in your Boosting Broadband Connectivity agenda, which your caucus has helped launch, tell us what holes you're trying to fill. What are the problems you're solving?
Yes, well, this is a package of bills that the Energy and Commerce Republicans introduced. Each member took a different part of the Boosting Broadband Connectivity agenda, this package of bills. It's focusing on permitting reforms, it's focusing on technologies. I believe that we need to be technology neutral as we focus on closing this digital divide once and for all. We also have permitting issues that need to be addressed. But I would also underscore that it's really important that we get the maps updated. In last Congress, I had led on the American Broadband Act, but it was included in the legislation that was signed into law by the president in March a year ago that will ask for more granular data on the maps that we use to award the money to close this digital divide. And unfortunately, we see where we still don't have these maps updated. And I just would continue to impress upon the FCC that we need to get the maps updated so that as Congress is getting ready to appropriate a lot of money that is going to the truly unserved and underserved areas.
Look, I think what you just shared is really, really important. A while back, I interviewed AT&T's new CEO, John Stankey, and he was saying what he was really advocating for was GeoMapping of in the United States of those parts of the nation and those communities that were not connected in the degree they should be. And he said, this is a knowable thing. We need to put it on a map. We need to know where to go to do this. And the government and policymakers need it. And I thought we'd gotten over that bump. But what I'm hearing from you is we have not. And I think as we think about this concept of a more perfect union and making sure that everybody is on the map, what's going on there?
Well, for many years, these maps were not accurate. And Congress took action last Congress, passed this legislation. It's my hope that we will really get these maps updated so that the resources are going to the people that need them most. I represent a region in Eastern Washington where Spokane is the largest city, but you don't even get outside of Spokane very far. And I have small towns where they have nothing. There's no connection. When Brendan Carr, the FCC commissioner, spent time in Eastern Washington with me, he was surprised, actually, as he was traveling around my district at different times when there was no connection. And COVID, this pandemic has only underscored the importance of having high-speed internet, whether it was our kids that were all of a sudden at home trying to do virtual school, or the telehealth commitment that we made that Republicans and Democrats want to continue to invest in, or businesses that need to have that connection. We need to close this digital divide once and for all. But in order to do that, we have to have maps that actually reflect where the needs are. I'm very concerned that we are going to be spending billions of dollars, but it's not going to go to the truly unserved, underserved areas in my district and around the country.
I'm really happy you raised it because I think it's a very represented part of this discussion of the digital divide, and so I'm glad we're raising and getting beyond, the kind of stuff we always hear and doing. But another part of it about being a responsible, engaged citizen in our future is being connected, right? And I've spent a lot of time talking to people in this industry, and I know there are three key elements of connectivity. One is being connected, which your act is trying to address, and being open to who does it and who, and also raising the permitting question, which is another under-discussed element of this, but being connected, but also digital skills and also access to devices, which are other dimensions of this. And I'm just wondering, where is your caucus in thinking about how we do more than we have done in I don't know, upskilling the country, bringing those skills to a level that we don't have as big a gap as we do when it comes to digital literacy and also access to devices?
We believe that digital technologies, this infrastructure, is the key to American leadership, for us really leading the next generation of emerging technologies, winning the future. It's foundational to American leadership, to American competitiveness. I would highlight legislation that my colleague, Congressman Tim Walberg, out of Michigan, has introduced around the workforce. We're anticipating that in order to really meet the needs for this digital infrastructure and deploying this technology, that we're going to need tens of thousands of people to go into this field. When Brendan Carr, the FCC commissioner, was in Eastern Washington, we got to meet some individuals who had been in other sectors and talking to them as to why they decided to become technicians. And they're good paying jobs. They saw a lot of opportunities in this sector, and legislation like Tim Walberg and others, I think, is important to really raising the awareness as to the workforce needs and the opportunities for good paying jobs if individuals invest in getting these skills. And a lot of the companies, the technology companies, the broadband companies, are committed to helping train and educate individuals so that they can meet these needs and get the skills necessary to make sure that we can actually build out the infrastructure.
Representative, there is this infrastructure bill that is allegedly, hovering out there, maybe one day to be dealt with, maybe not, but there's this big infrastructure bill and there's a lot in it. I'd just be interested in how much of that infrastructure bill, as you've read it and seen it, overlaps with what your caucus is calling for with the boosting broadband connectivity agenda. And where do you see the deficits in that bill, and deficits, if there are any, in the way you see the Biden administration's approach to this?
Well, what we're seeing in the House is that the Senate infrastructure bill has really been tied to the partisan reconciliation package. And we have concerns about the lack of real targeting of this investment. I believe that we absolutely need to close the digital divide, but it does include more money to investing in the infrastructure that's necessary to closing the digital divide. As I mentioned earlier, making sure that these maps are updated is foundational to targeting the investments, so that the money, billions of dollars, is going to the truly underserved areas in my district and around the country. The legislation also needs to be more focused on being technology neutral. I am concerned that the way that the language is currently written, it may be possible for areas that already have connection, just want to have higher speeds, are going to take a disproportionate amount of the funds that are going to be appropriated. This is really a unique time in making sure that Congress is going to take action that's really going to close the digital divide, not just continue to focus on areas that have connection. We need to focus on the unserved, underserved. It needs to be technology neutral. And we also need to be addressing some of the permitting issues that are hampering the deployment in regions around this country. And so far, this package fails to do that.
Hey, I want our viewers to know that the House Energy and Commerce Committee is one of the most powerful committees in the House of Representatives, and Cathy McMorris Rodgers, representative from Washington, is the Republican leader of that. She deals with all sorts of issues across the board, which are part of sculpting the future of this country. So I want to really thank her for joining us, and I also want to say, Representative McMorris Rodgers, the next time you're in Airway Heights, I'm going to give your folks my phone number. I would love a call so I can actually hear what a 5G call sounds like. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It really is an exciting time.